In December 2018, the United States Patent and Trademark Office approved one of the strangest applications in its 231-year history, from a Navy engineer who was confident he could design nothing less than a physics-defying craft capable of flying at massive speeds not just across the sky, but also into outer space and even beneath the ocean. Does this sound familiar? Indeed, suppose the dreams of Salvatore Cesar Pace, an engineer at the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division in Patterson River, Maryland, had come true. In that case, the Defense Department itself could have given birth to one of the objects that have shocked and awed pilots worldwide in recent years and prompted U.S. intelligence to investigate the phenomenon. The officer of the Director of National Intelligence did little, if anything, in its long-awaited report on Friday to provide answers to the unusual airborne encounters with what it calls unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, which everyone else calls UFOs. It includes 143 observations of unknown origin. However, it doesn't attribute any of the strange instances to extraterrestrials or classified U.S. technology. According to the ODNI study, citing that most UAPs were detected by numerous sensors, including radar, infrared, electro-optical, weapon seekers, and visual observation, most of the UAPs identified represent physical objects. Pace, the Navy engineer, believed he could create a superior UAP. His was an unspecified-sized triangular craft with an inertial mass reduction device. This gadget would fuse nuclear power and microwaves to generate a vacuum that would change its mass and allow it to travel at great speeds. According to astrophysicists, such a craft is impossible to build with current technology and is unlikely to exist in the natural world, while most of them are calling it nonsense and all. However, 2 years later, Pace signed over to the Navy a related patent application for a plasma fusion compression device, which, if successful, would be a nature-bending breakthrough in producing a cold fusion generator. The combination of the inventions became known as the Pace effect. Why the Navy and the Patent Office since 1975 thought such concepts were viable remains a mystery. Was the permission related to the recent disclosure of recordings of Navy pilots going crazy over UAPs or UFOs? Pace, a Case Western Reserve University engineering doctoral, couldn't be reached for comment. Throughout the patent process, his attorney, Mark Gadd, addressed any questions to a U.S. Navy spokesman at the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. The command tested the Pace effect, which is the basis for the patents, from October 2016 to September 2019. And after the tests, the Pace effect could not be confirmed to exist, which led to the initiative being shelved. According to Timothy Boulay, NUCAD spokesman, the 3-year project cost $508,000, with 90% going to salaries and the rest going to equipment. He said Dr. Pace left NUCAD in June 2019, and no one at NUCAD can speak on his behalf. The spacecraft depicted in the Navy patent seems suspiciously similar to testimonies and blurry recordings recorded by U.S. naval pilots. The videos show the tic-tac-shaped drone executing bizarre acrobatics in the air that appear to defy aerodynamic rules. Boulay stated that no additional study had been done since abandoning the Pace Effect project, and the project has not been migrated to any other government or civilian group. He said getting a patent was not rare, even for a technology as strange as this one, which ultimately failed. He also added that as a federal lab, NUCAD files multiple patents each year, and that the issuance of a patent doesn't necessarily indicate the presence of the technology. It can also protect a notion. Patents in this example protected exclusive technical concepts until more study was conducted. When it was first submitted in 2016, the patent caused quite a stir in technical and military periodicals and techno-debunkers. In 2019, the Pakistan Defense website, for example, launched a news thread titled, "The U.S. Navy covertly designed a superfast future aircraft resembling a UFO, papers indicate." Reports at the time speculated on a covert competition for exotic technologies between the United States, China, and Russia. Some speculation believed that U.S. sources were enabling selective leaks of information about technology that didn't exist, such as a super aircraft driven by implausible forces, as part of a strategic deception effort to frighten America's main foes. The Federation of American Scientists' annual list of secret patents has risen to around 6,000 by 2020. Nonetheless, the concept for this specific craft was far from hidden. Officials were eager to talk about it, as was the inventor. Pace had described his invention in full, replete with schematics, in his 2018 patent application. He wrote that it consists of an inner resonant cavity wall, an exterior resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. This craft would be filled with an inert gas like xenon, A vacuum would be produced outside the vehicle, and the microwaves would cause vibrations in the vacuum. They'd be enclosed in a Faraday cage to protect crew quarters from microwave radiation. According to the inventor, the end product would be a hybrid vessel that would move remarkably easily through the air, space, or water mediums by being wrapped in a vacuum plasma sheath. Pace did admit at one time that his creation was highly speculative, akin to modifying established physics. He said that if we can engineer the structure of the local quantum vacuum state, we can engineer the fabric of our reality at the most fundamental level, affecting a physical system's inertial and gravitational properties. This revelation would have a significant impact on the sectors of aeronautical propulsion and power generation. Several physicists were obviously perplexed by the depiction. The question is, why would the Navy seek a patent for an unattainable dream? In reality, Pace's inertial mass idea was initially rejected by the US Patent Office on the grounds that it could never be manufactured. According to patent law rules, an invention must be enabled or capable of being made as stated, but not necessarily in working condition. The patent examiner appointed to study Pace's flying contraption, Philip J. Bonzel, rejected his application on that basis, stating that it could not be produced. The power needed to propel the craft would be ridiculously high, 3 times the magnitude more than a neutron star. But Pace's patent counsel produced a rebuttal, claiming that Bonzel was incorrect, citing peer reviews in scientific journals and the word of the Navy Warfare Section's top scientist, James Sheehy, who said that the innovation was already enabled and being tested. Sheehy, who has a PhD in physiological optics, defended the patent's granting during the application process. He thought Pace's experimental vehicle testing program was promising. He even wrote to Bonzel, saying that based on these first data, he would argue that this would become a reality. Adding that China has already made big investments in the sector, he would rather that they hold the patent rather than pay forever more to use this groundbreaking technology. Despite the patent examiner's final refusal, the patent was issued many months later. When Spy Talk contacted Bonzel, he indicated he couldn't comment beyond his findings in the information presented with the patent application. Sheehy didn't respond to an interview request. However, a third physicist, Terry Matilsky, emeritus professor of astronomy and physics at Rutgers University, said Bonzel was simply pointing out something fundamental. The patent's central concept of mass reduction runs counter to all known physics, beginning with Einstein's theory of special relativity and the well-known formula E equals mc squared. From his point of view arises an interesting question. So how exactly can you reduce mass? You'll be breaching the idea of energy conservation. And at this point, Terry becomes disconnected from the idea. It has been alleged that the US may have engaged in deception by claiming to have made a breakthrough in building unusual aircraft with unknown propulsion systems. The trouble is that both Chinese and Soviet scientists would detect the identical problem that Matilsky, Ostraker, and Webb did, and promptly dismiss it as nonsense. Webb said that the universe in which he'd prefer to live is one that is similar to the universe portrayed in Star Trek, one where we can travel the vast distances between the stars and come into contact with extraterrestrial beings and learn from them. It would simply be fascinating. The issue, he claims, is that it's very unlikely to happen anytime soon.